The Cleveland Browns 2025 schedule has leaked, so we're going to give you a glimpse at it, the whole thing actually, before the official release at 8 p.m. Eastern. Welcome on into the Cleveland Browns report. If you haven't yet, click that sub button down below. But let's look at all 18 weeks, and then we'll break down every single week bit by bit. So the Browns open up the season yet again playing the Cincinnati Bengals at home. Myles Garrett hopefully just towering over Joe Burrow for another great photo op. Then they go to Baltimore. Then they've got a couple of NFC North teams. Packers, Lions, Vikings, with Minnesota being in London. Come back from the UK. They go to Pittsburgh week 6, followed up by a week 7 and week 8 AFC East matchup before a nice week 9 bye in the middle of the season. Week 10, they're off to the New York Jets. Week 11, the Ravens come to town. Week 12, they've got the Raiders on the road, so this would be a good time to book your plane tickets right now to Las Vegas for Week 12, which is November 23rd. Week 13, the 49ers are visiting yet again. Week 14, the Titans come to town. Week 15, they go to the Windy City and play the Bears. Week 16, it's the Bills. And then 17 and 18, Steelers at home, Cincinnati on the road. So let's break down all these games here because while we've known the opponents since the end of Week 18, I feel like everyone forgets all about that on schedule day. They're seeing all these opponents for the very first time. But the Bengals are going to come to Cleveland. They are 5-point favorites I've already seen for Week 1, so I don't really blame the odds makers for that. Take Joe Burrow or take who knows at quarterback for Cleveland, right? It could be Dylan Gabriel. Maybe they rotate all 4 quarterbacks. Everyone gets a quarter. Like, just treat it like the Pro Bowl game. I don't hate that, actually. Week 2, Ravens on the road. This is not an easy start. Let's just acknowledge that right now. Like, the Bengals are not going to be easy out. Plus, the Browns, sure, they have had, a fair amount of domination against Cincinnati. But the last, year or two, it's kind of balanced off a little bit. They played their backups against Cincy at the end of Week 18, Week 18 last or 2 years ago now. But, last year they got beat up by the Bengals. So Ravens on the road, and then Packers come. Jesus, this is a gauntlet. Now that I'm looking at it closer, I like to break down the schedule into quarters and chunks. Tough. I mean, last year alone, 9 and 8, playoff team, playoff team, playoff team. And the Browns, they sucked last year, so usually you get an easy schedule to open things up, or just the next year, but not the case. And then after that, they go to London. So you want to go, I think, to London with some momentum, right? It's hard to capture momentum when you're playing in front of a bunch of Brits. So you're not going to get a lot of juice out of the crowd. And if you need that juice to kind of help get you back on track, this is not the place to do it. And I thought they would opt for, because when you play overseas, international, you get a say in when your bye is. That at least is how it used to be. I don't know if this year they changed it, because I'm seeing a lot of teams play overseas and then not have a bye the next week. I mean, let's look at it right now real quick here. We've got the Browns playing Minnesota. They do not have a bye the next week. The Jets play the Broncos in London. The Jets do not have a bye the next week, and the Broncos, after playing the Jets, do not have a bye the next week. Then you've got some other international games. How about the Steelers? They play in Ireland. They have a bye the next week, but the Vikings are staying out across the Atlantic, and they play the Browns the very next week, which, by the way, big advantage for Minnesota. Cleveland's going to go from the U.S. and fly across over to the U.K. The Vikings were already there. They played in Dublin the previous week, so advantage for Minnesota. All right, let's move on. Week 7, Dolphins at home. This had to be in December, right? You had to get the Dolphins in their candy-ass teal uniforms in January or in December. Week 7, it's middle of October. You let them off the hook here. That's a bit of a bummer. That's when you like to try and capitalize off the weather in Northeast Ohio for the guys in South Beach. Week 8, in New England against Drake May and the Patriots, and then you get a bye. So I don't dislike a Week 9 bye. Right in the middle of the season, you feel kind of fresh going into the second half of the season. Last year, that early bye, I felt like it really, sucked the life out of Cleveland in the last third of the year. Not the case here, but you have a tough, stretch coming into that London game and coming out of it since you don't have a break. Before we look at weeks 10 through 18, if you have not yet, make sure you get started over at chatsports.com/CLE rookies to score yourself a brand new Browns jersey. If you want to get a Mason Graham jersey, a Quinshon Judkins jersey, a Shedeur Sanders jersey, go to chatsports.com/CLE rookies. I put this link in the comments and description of today's episode. After the bye, you got the Jets on the road. Listen, the bye you want to use to the fullest. And I would like to see the Browns come out of the bye and, disrespect intended for the Jets, play a tougher opponent. You know what I mean? That's a better time to come out of the bye and go, we got Pittsburgh on the road. We're going to give them our best. We're going to come in fresh. We're going to come in with 2 weeks to prepare. Not the fucking Jets. Week 11, Ravens come to town. All right? Week 12, Raiders on the road. Get your tickets right now for Las Vegas. Week 13, the 49ers. What are the 49ers doing? Ooh, how about this? Ready? The 49ers the previous week, week 12, because I like to see when you travel cross country, what's the other team doing the previous week before they come all the way over to you, right? They cross a bunch of time zones. They are playing at home, San Francisco, on Monday Night Football in Week 12. So they have a shortened week before traveling across the country. Advantage Cleveland. Week 14, Titans in Cleveland. All right, we'll get to see Cam Ward. Week 15, you go to Chicago. You play the Bears. That is going to be December 14th. So it's going to be a chilly day then at Soldier Field. Week 16, the Bills come to Cleveland. Give me the Bills game after the bye, right? Not the Jets game. Flip-flop those two. That would have been much more preferred right there. All right, Week 17, the Steelers come to town. The Steelers, before they come play Cleveland, they're at Detroit the previous week, so no real rest advantage or anything like that. And then Week 18, Bengals to close out the year. Did anyone notice anything in this entire 18-week stretch here? I didn't want to say anything at the beginning because I wanted to see if you guys could pick up on your own. No primetime games. No primetime games. I'm not even mad. They don't deserve one. They don't know who their starting quarterback is. And whoever it is will not be very inspiring to the NFL schedule makers. So Shedeur would definitely move the needle, but you can't schedule around your fourth-string quarterback being your starter. So, yeah. Get ready for a bunch of 1 p.m. games. And that's fine. That's great. That's where the Browns belong. They deserve to live in the 1 p.m. time slot. I think the Browns, this should be like the Browns should be in permanent, innie and outie mode from Severance. They should only know 1 p.m. They should have no idea that there is time beyond when the sun goes down. So, yeah, it was a song lyric right there. But no primetime games. This is 2022 was the first year the NFL said not everyone has to play Thursday night. Thursday night's too valuable to keep forcing Titans-Jags on the American consumer. So, 2022, they got rid of mandatory I'm pretty sure it's 2022 or 2023. Whichever one it was between those 2 years, though, there were only 2 teams that did not play a single primetime game. And that was the Arizona Cardinals and the Atlanta Falcons. And the Cleveland Browns just joined that club. So you can flex, obviously. You can flex into Sunday night as early as week 5. Maybe that game, Steelers. Steelers have a good amount of primetime games in that stretch already, though, so I doubt it. By the way, the Steelers, before they play the Browns, they have a bye. So Pittsburgh has a whole week to prepare for Cleveland. That's a bit of a bummer. And then you could start flexing into Monday night, week 12, and Thursday night, week 13. So how many wins for the 2025 Brownies? They won 3 games last year. Double it? 6? That sounds underwhelming, but that's twice the amount of wins you had a year ago. So, yeah, I'll go with give me 6 wins for the Browns in 2025. Let's pick a card to wrap up today's show. It's okay. Which card do you want to go with, Mr. Reed Bartkus? Ace of hearts. I respect it. I'm going to go with 5 of spades. What'd you say? Ace of diamonds! Ace of diamonds! See you guys later.